What is the unmanageable programmer paradox? The myth is that women programmers of the 1960s were unmanageable because of their perceived arrogance, large egos, devoid of all social skills, and their prima donna attitudes. One manager at IBM, Dick H. Brandon, went so far as to call women programmers mentally unstable, independent to the point of mild schizophrenia, as well as suspiciously conformist. However, Nathan Ensminger, an associate professor in the School of Informatics and Computing at Indiana University, argues that a more accurate description of the 1960s would be a struggle for organizational authority and managerial control between programmers and their industrial and government bosses. Janet Abate, in her book Recoding Gender, references one of Ensminger's key ideas in revealing this paradox, when she writes, "He focuses on the idea that programming has always been both art and science, and notes that managers found its creative, craft-like side worrisome because it confronted them with a work process that they could neither understand nor control. I find this extremely interesting. As a computer scientist, I know that the only way I can enjoy my work to its full potential is to view the process of writing code as both an art and a science." How is computer science both an art and a science? It is an art in the way that it uses technical skill to produce a subjective thing of beauty. Programmers also start on a blank slate, and there is a style or taste associated with writing code. Writing code, as more commonly viewed, is a science due to its incorporation of program architecture, code design, and the theory of computation and algorithms. It is truly a unique field in the way that it is both an art and a science, and this is why it has drawn me into it. It makes sense then why the art of computer science might pose as a threat to managers, as these programs which their employees are creating are partially subjective, making them difficult to compare against other of their peers' programs. The programmers themselves shouldn't be blamed for expressing their artistic side. Rather, it must be acknowledged that these programs are inherently difficult to assess due to the artistic side of programming, and managers and their programmers can then work around these obstacles. It is not unlike navigating through obstacles in an unfamiliar neighborhood, where each obstacle that the driver or programmer meets forces them to make a critical decision that will take them one way or another, and the specific road that a programmer takes is reflective of their artistic style or taste. Managers commonly associated skill with someone who arrived at the final destination quickly and with the least amount of gas, or met deadlines with the fewest lines of code. But they did this without first understanding the route that needed to be taken, and then continued to call women programmers unmanageable. And this is the unmanageable programming paradox. Furthermore, this unmanageable programmer paradox has even deeper roots in the struggle for organizational authority and managerial control. As Abate writes in Recoding Gender, as late as 1973, more than 2 decades after digital computers had been commercialized, the author of a study on cognitive predictors of success in computer programmer training lamented, "The aptitudes and abilities required for the position of programmer within the computer industry have yet to been fully studied and their interrelationships known. For a full 20 years, employers haven't completely understood what skills are needed to become a programmer, yet they still hire and fire programmers like they very well know these requirements, and even worse, declare these programmers unmanageable." Much of the struggle for power between managers and programmers, and the whole unmanageable programmer paradox, for that matter, could have been easily avoided if these managers were more knowledgeable in the area of computer science. That way the manager could give their programmers a style guideline to follow which represents his or her artistic preferences in programming, similar to how Google or Facebook operates today. In some cases, such as freelance programmers, established by Stephanie Shirley, constantly working with managers who are sufficiently knowledgeable in computer science was not an option, and in this way the struggle was very real for a large amount of women. But that's all it was, a struggle for organizational authority and managerial control between programmers and their bosses. It was not the case that women programmers were unmanageable because of their perceived arrogance, large egos, devoid of all social skills, and their prima donna attitudes.